Good afternoon. Dustin Grove here with meteorologist Rob Ellis on another weather impact alert day. Was just talking to Rob. I went outside just about 15 minutes ago because it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it looks great.
And then about 3 or 4 minutes in, you're like, I'm going to head back inside.
Yeah.
It's so hot.
I think this could be tied or maybe even a little bit warmer than our warmest day so far this year. So far we've gotten to 93 as the hottest day in this year. I think we're going to be close to that, maybe even go a little warmer than that for some.
And that's
occasions.
not even the feels like, right?
That's not the feels like temperature. That's the actual air temperature. Let me show you some of the current numbers. We've already warmed up to 89. That's what we have on the board here for Indy, and that's as of the last few minutes or so. Many other locations in the mid to upper 80s. No 90s on the board just yet that I'm seeing, but the feels like temperatures are already warming up. Feels like triple digits. Mount Comfort for Fishers as well. Feels like 97 officially at the airport. And we've still got a lot of heating of the day. And speaking of heating of the day, there's not a lot in the cloud department here to keep that heating of the day from really moving us up at least another 3 degrees. I think we could even surpass the 93 that we have forecast for today. If we make it to 94, that will make this the hottest day so far of 2025. Again, I think we've got a few more hours, I should say, of a lot of sunshine. That'll carry us through the rest of this evening. Then finally that heat will break as we head into the evening, and we'll finally start to see some changes as we look down the road. But the heat advisory is going to stay in place through the rest of this afternoon. Tonight, muggy and warm, 76, and then tomorrow we start to see a little bit of change in the forecast. We'll take the temperatures down a bit. We'll bring a chance for some showers, maybe even a few storms, but this is the change maker that's finally going to break this pattern. I'll be back with a look at the new pattern that emerges just in time for the weekend.
All right, Rob, thank you. To the headlines now. New this afternoon, a man is under arrest connected to a deadly shooting more than 3 years ago here in Indianapolis. Metro Police found 47-year-old Ale Smith's body in the trunk of a burning car back in November of 2021. The coroner later determined Smith had been shot in the head. Now, nearly 4 years after the shooting, Metro Police credit new information from witnesses as the break in the case. They arrested a suspect in the case on a preliminary murder charge. He was already in federal custody for an unrelated case. Another man was also arrested for assisting a criminal. A mother from Rush County now faces charges after her son died in a house fire last month. It happened in the town of Arlington, and it killed 7-year-old David Bowers Jr. The Rush County Sheriff says Kirsten Bowers told them she fell asleep in bed with a cigarette, woke up to the fire, and tried to get the kids out. Investigators, though, say a timeline which includes surveillance video tells a different story, showing Bowers left the house and had walked several blocks away during the suspected time of the fire, leaving the 4 kids unattended. She now faces neglect charges. Testimony continues today in the trial of a man accused of killing 3 people in Lawrence, and we've just learned some new details from the courtroom this morning. First, let's show you the scene here. From Jamestown apartment community, a maintenance man there says he heard the shots, chased away 2 suspects with his own gun. 19-year-old London Coleman, 19-year-old Aaliyah Wortman, and 27-year-old Spencer Lawson all died in that shooting. And we learned today Lawson was shot 26 times, Wortman shot 10 times, and Coleman was struck 3 times. Our team in the courtroom also says each victim was shot at least once in the head. Now, 24-year-old Malik Shaw is charged with their murders. Police have not identified the second suspect yet. Our Rich Nye is in the courtroom. We'll have much more today on 13 News at 4. The man accused of stalking Caitlin Clark will spend the next 1.5 years behind bars. 55-year-old Michael Lewis has pleaded guilty to stalking and harassment charges, but not before being scolded by the judge. Listen here.
I think that you cannot help yourself until you get help. If they told you to stay away and told you not to go to Gamebridge Fieldhouse, you didn't listen. And they told you to stop sending messages, you didn't listen.
An unusual day in that courtroom yesterday. Judge Angela Davis had to stop the proceedings often to correct Lewis's behavior. He made comments about wanting to keep Caitlin Clark safe, but also went on to prophesize that the end of the world was coming. The judge ordered Lewis not to use the internet while serving his sentence and recommended he get mental health treatment. This afternoon, the city says it's taking a major step in a new affordable housing project. This is in an effort to give more people a place to live on the near north side. want to show you video from the groundbreaking today. This is on Central at 29 with the Department of Metropolitan Development. It's going to be a new 4-story development at 29th Street and Central Avenue. 11 units will be set aside for people emerging from homelessness. That building is meant to serve people and families earning $70,000 or less a year. And we learned that construction is now set to wrap up next winter. So we'll keep tabs on that, let you know how it's going. That groundbreaking on affordable housing comes as city leaders are divided over the homeless crisis here in Indianapolis. Many are asking, is more housing really the solution, or are more services the solution? That's the question. That's the debate. The president of the Concerned Clergy says it comes down to a recurring failure of leadership after the city said it's shutting down the Fountain Square homeless camp. But as our Alex Almanza reports, not everybody agrees with that decision.
Reverend David Green says the city is confusing movement with progress.
All we're doing is moving the pain from one part to another place.
The city plans to close the homeless encampment along Leonard Street on August 11th. They say outreach teams, including Streets to Home Indy, will offer temporary and permanent housing options to those living there. But Green, who sits on that very housing program, says that the city should have waited to shut down the camp.
This is just going to force them to say, now I got to go. They're concerned about where am I going to stay at next.
Neighbors say they've dealt with enough, from rocks thrown at homes to people being chased with sticks. In a statement to 13 News, the Office of Public Health and Safety addresses those concerns, saying the encampment poses a threat to, quote, both neighborhood residents and the unhoused community.
Indianapolis is a great place. We just need to think outside the box and just do it.
Conway disagrees with Green's Housing First approach. Instead, she's calling on the city to establish a centralized, sanctioned camp where people can set up their tents legally with city oversight and access to services. She's launched a petition saying it's a temporary fix that's worked elsewhere.
It's needed to give people dignity, a safe place to be, and a central location so that anybody who wants to minister to these individuals can go there and do it.
While one camp's closing, the larger problem isn't.
It's Alex Almanza reporting for us. Alex talked more with Debbie and Reverend David. He asked them about some of the barriers that these approaches face, as well as how President Trump's recent executive order comes into play. It's aimed at removing people from the streets by committing them for mental health or drug treatment. And you can find that conversation and more in this story. We've posted it to WTHR.com. So how many homeless people are there here in Indianapolis? Well, the Coalition for Homelessness Intervention and Prevention reported a 7% increase this year compared to last after their annual point-in-time count. They found more than 1,800 people are living on the streets, in shelters, or in transitional housing. More than 400 of those people reported experiencing chronic homelessness, which is a 24% increase from last year. In their report, CHIP attributes the rising homelessness rates to a systemic housing issue. That includes things like a limited housing inventory and rising home costs. Other news now, 83 members of Indiana Task Force 1 are back home with their families. This is video of their arrival late yesterday. They spent almost 3 weeks down in Texas helping out with the deadly flooding response. And now they are sharing their stories from the field. The team says they spent long days in the heat and humidity, battling treacherous terrain in their search efforts. They were stationed in the center of the disaster, Kerr County, just downstream from Camp Mystic. That's where more than 24 campers and counselors were killed.
Everybody knows has seen the news with the Camp Mystic tragedy and all the kids involved in that. We have to mentally get in the right place to go in and do a lot of that work.
I can't imagine. During their days in Texas, Task Force 1 crews were assigned different areas to search for survivors and recover those who died, all in an effort to bring closure to so many families down there. Now, these members of Task Force 1 are back home with their loved ones for a brief rest before getting back to work here.